esteem, all of that thing they brought with them. But yet God said, I'm going to bring you out, and I'm going to bring you out all right. What did he do? He took them upon his shoulders. He said, I'm going to bring you across the Red Sea. I'm going to open up the waters and make them solid so you can go across. But the very ones who are coming after you are trying to put baggage on you, don't worry, I'm going to take care of them too. Pharaoh tried to come back and bring the children back into the burdens and the life that they knew before. But God had already said he had set them free. And what did the Bible say? He that the Son sets free is free indeed. And so he brought them out of the situation. And when they looked and thought that they were caught between a rock and a hard place, Pharaoh's soldiers behind them, Red Sea in front of them, nothing but desert on the side, nowhere for them to go. But what did Moses say? He told him, he said, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And as they stood still, God opened up a road across the Red Sea, and he brought them over from the situation over to the other side. And at that instant, he had brought them out all right. None of their children perished. No family member perished. Everything that they had that they brought from Egypt, they crossed over and took across the Red Sea. But then as they stood, and they stood on the other side, they looked back, and because God said he would do this, he would allow you to see your enemies destroyed. They looked back across the Red Sea, and as they looked, they saw the water close in on Pharaoh's chariots, close in on all of the horses and everything there, and everything that tried to come to be a burden to the children of Israel was destroyed and drowned in the Red Sea. The Bible provided evidence to show that he will bring you out all right. Going back to Job once again, we see that after he went through every situation, sickness and circumstance, and being left alone and defied. The Bible said Job received, as they say, double for his trouble. In the end, he got twice as many servants, twice as many animals, twice as many things that he had before. And they said he even had 10 more children, but the Bible says the daughters that he had were such beautiful young girls. They said no other maidens in the land was as beautiful as Job's daughters. Bible tells us and shows us that he will bring you out all right, because we saw how Daniel was thrown down in a den of lions, but he walked out to become the #1 man in the king's cabinet. Notice this. They threw him down to get him low, but it wound up, he was lifted up high. Brought him out without a scratch, without any harm. I know they talk about the story a lot, but Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown in a fiery furnace, bound with their hands with ropes, bound by their feet with ropes, clothed in all of their clothing. But the Bible says that they came out free and untouched by the flames. All of these things are indications and evidence that God will bring you out all right. We have personal testimonies. Pastor Young this morning, Brother Young today, all of us in here today have a personal testimony that God will bring you out all right. Regardless of what men may say, what God may say, they may say, ooh, he was so lucky. But in the situation, we say luck didn't have anything to do with that. God, through his awesome power, brought us out all right. So as we close this morning, don't be surprised or succumb to afflictions, for the Lord will bring you out all right. This we know because the word proclaims this. It says, for all things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might, through the thanksgiving of many, redound to the glory of God. For which cause we faint not. But though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day, regardless of what attacks this body on the outside. God has said that he's going to bring us out by replenishing and renewing our spirit on the inside. But then he makes this statement. He says, for our light affliction. Notice how he said, he didn't just say affliction, but he said our light affliction, which is but for a moment, working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. We may go through a little bit right now, but what God has prepared for us after we have gone through is a whole lot greater than the little thing that we're dealing with at the time. Then he says this, he says, we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Then David wrote these words. He said, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Regardless of what goes on, when we go to bed at night, by the grace of God, we go to bed at night, but morning going to come every time. The Bible's already said God has set it in place. It's perpetual motion. As sure as there's night, as sure as there's going to be a daytime. But then he tells us this. He says, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. Notice that. He said, cast down, but not destroyed. It makes me think about this other commercial that they used to run a lot of times. When the lady would fall, she'd say, I've fallen and I can't get up. But in this case, there's no situation for a person of God or a child of God. You may fall, but the Bible says God's going to lift you up every time. The wonderful thing about it, whenever you fall, God has already ordained it in the makeup. That's one thing when you fall. Before you get up, you got to get on your knees. Either it's one knee or both knees, but it's rare when you see a person fall, like they show some of these karate moves, they just jump and leap to their feet. Whenever they fall, generally, when it's to themselves, they get up by one knee. And so in other words, God is already telling us the fact that we are being knocked down, he's putting us in a place where we are able to talk to him. And then because we're talking to him and bowing down to him, he is able to lift us up. And telling us in every situation, don't worry about it. He will bring us out all right. And what did the writer say? He said, the Lord delivers them out of all their troubles. Not some, not one, not maybe half of them, but he said he delivers them out of all their troubles. And why is it like that? Because Jesus made the statement before he left here. He said, in this world, there are going to be troubles. He said, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. And it takes us back to everything that he's telling us. Be of good cheer, regardless of the situation, regardless of the affliction or the circumstance. Be of good cheer, because you shall overcome the affliction. You shall be brought through and brought out of the situation. So that's the word for us today. He will bring you out all